You don't need 50%. You don't need 51%. The answer to your question then is if you can round up somewhere between 1 in 7 and 1 in 5 people in this state, they can take it back and you can say, hey, forget all these handouts. I don't have a problem with charity. If you want to give your money to help someone, fine. But nobody should come to you, put a gun to your head and say, we're taking your money to give to that person. It can be done. Everything you people want, everything that's offensive to you right now, you can capture it if you can get 1 in 7. Minimum 1 in 5, you can sweep this whole state, you can sweep the country. This is doable, it's possible, you can succeed. I guess we've got one more.
Could you possibly elaborate on the 14th Amendment?
Yeah, I can do it. Again, I don't know how much time they have. I was only supposed to have about 15 minutes.
My understanding of that, it was enacted to give the offspring of the slaves in 1864 citizenship of this country.
Basically, but it's a little bit different than that. This is where we got into trouble. I talked to you about the law form. The American law form under the Declaration of Independence was God number 1, people number 2, government number 3. Government came along and they did free the slaves. But they did not elevate the slaves to the status of white people. What they did is they created a new class of citizenship that was subject to government. And under the 14th Amendment says all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. What they're talking about, first off, they're talking about all persons born. Declaration is about all persons created. The rights that you receive from God attach to you as attributes of your creation, which is no later than your conception. There's passage in Jeremiah where God talks to Jeremiah and he says, I knew you before you were even in your mother's womb. It implies that you may have been created before you were even conceived. But at minimum, you were created at the moment of your conception. What's that mean? It means that even the unborn children have the unalienable right to life under the Declaration of Independence. Under the 14th Amendment, you get civil rights. Not the God-given unalienable rights, you get civil rights that are coming from man. Not the rights from God. Different set of rights entirely. That's what they left to the African-American people. And over time, they have tricked all of you people into assuming that capacity, where the order now is they would still give lip service to God number 1, people number 2, government number 3, but citizens of the United States number 4. If you're a citizen of the United States under the 14th Amendment, you have once again accepted your status as a subject. You're back in the same place you were when these people fought the American Revolution. And every one of you knows it in your gut. That's why you're here. Texas Tea Party, what we're talking about right now, is the same sort of resistance that was talked about prior to 1776. There were people holding meetings just like this. They're holding them in churches. They were holding them in little groups back in 1772 and 1774 and 1775, and they were saying, what are we going to do? Well, like I mentioned a moment ago, 20% take this whole country away. It can be done, and it can be done as quick as you want to do it. It can be done over the internet quickly. It can be done rapidly. It can happen as soon as 2010. It's all doable.
They want to take over our internet. Yeah, right.
Well, they're going to try. I mean, there's none of this that's a guarantee. There's none of this where you can say this is necessarily going to be easy, and certainly not without resistance. The question is, are you ready to fight? That's what it comes down to. If you're only ready to say, gee, I wish you'd stop doing that to me, well, how's that going to work? It hasn't worked so far, and it ain't going to work again. You got to get in their face and say, here we come. Buckle up, here we come.
If they don't want to listen to our votes, they'll listen to our guns.
Now, I agree with you, but let's hope that we can resolve it before we have to start shooting people. I understand that that is a viable final option, and it may have to go that way. But the first order of business, even in the Declaration of Independence, they make the point that they have petitioned repeatedly to try to straighten things out, and the king ignored them every single time. I don't have the language right in front of me. Let me just close with one other section from the Declaration that I don't have memorized, but I do want to read it.
Are you going to be running for an office? Because I'm going to vote for you.
Well, if there's a third party, if you will help create a third party, the answer is absolutely yes. Thank you. I guarantee I'll never get through the Republican primary, and I'm never going to get through the Democratic primary. I don't stand a chance. But let me just conclude with this. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government. That's not philosophy, that's the law. To this day, it is your duty. The government is depriving you of your God-given unalienable rights. It is your duty to take them back. Thanks very much for your time.